Is modern society making us more fearful? This is something I have been thinking about a lot recently, and I think it comes in no small part from my inability to escape social media, or at least commercial media. In ancient times, the transmission of vital knowledge, whether it be history, practical life skills, or cultural values, was primarily a communal effort. Families, local communities, oral traditions, and religious institutions, as well as art, were the core mechanisms for passing on this essential wisdom. These institutions shaped identities and ultimately gave context to life. However, as the world has developed, much of that responsibility has been handed over to commercial media. And as George Gerbner, a pioneer in media studies, aptly put it, commercial media has eclipsed religion, art, oral traditions, and the family as the great storytelling engine of our time. And whoever tells these stories of culture gets to govern human behaviour. Gerbner's observation there touches on a profound shift in society. Today's dominant narratives are controlled by commercial entities rather than by community-driven ones. The stories we consume that shape our understanding of reality, influence our behaviours, and ultimately dictate how we interact with the world. But this transition from communal storytelling to commercial storytelling raises significant questions about what we are being fed. As mass media and social media platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, as well as the numerous news apps that dominate the flow of information, the effect on individuals and society as a whole becomes increasingly complex and, frankly, worrisome. A key issue with commercial storytelling in the modern era is its inescapability. With smartphones constantly in our hands, we are bombarded by a relentless stream of information. Whereas in earlier times, it might have taken weeks, months, or even years for people to hear about events taking place in distant lands. Today, that news, especially bad news, reaches us almost instantaneously. At any given moment, we are exposed to wars, riots, political scandals, climate disasters, and all the other troubling stories from around the globe. This constant bombardment creates a new reality for us. A world where fear and anxiety can easily become overwhelming. News apps and social media algorithms are optimized for engagement, and nothing really engages us as effectively as fear. As the saying goes, if it bleeds, it leads. Violent and chaotic events catch our attention more than hopeful or constructive stories, and over time, the chronic exposure to these narratives can distort our view of the world, making it seem more dangerous than it actually is. In the past, when information travelled more slowly, people had time to process, discuss, and interpret it within the context of their local cultures and values. The gradual pace allowed for reflection and, often, a certain emotional distance from global crises, if they even heard about them at all. Today, this gap has all but disappeared. Modern technology brings the worst of humanity directly to our screens, often without buffering provided by family, community, or shared moral frameworks. The saturation of fearful narratives can have a profound psychological effect on society. Studies have shown that exposure to negative news increases anxiety and fosters a sense of helplessness. So, if we are repeatedly told that the world is falling apart, whether through images of war, economic collapse, or social unrest, our perception of personal safety and stability diminishes. Commercial media's unrelenting focus on sensationalism means that even when real danger is minimal or far removed, people may feel as though catastrophe is just around the corner. And social media magnifies the impact of these stories by personalizing them. Algorithms tailor content to individual users, often amplifying negative emotions because it's what keeps people glued to their screens. And as Gerbner warned, Those who control the stories control human behavior, and commercial media's influence has led to a culture of fear. When fear becomes the dominant lens through which we view the world, our capacity for rational thought and collective action weakens. People may become more defensive, more reactionary, and less willing to engage in meaningful debate or collaboration. Fear, when unchecked, tends to breed division and instability. Another concern with commercial media's takeover of storytelling is that it has become highly centralized and monopolized. A handful of corporations now dominate the narrative that most people consume. This consolidation of power raises important questions. Who decides what stories are told? Whose interests are being served? In a media landscape driven by profit, content is often shaped to maximize clicks, views, and ad revenue, rather than to provide a balanced or thoughtful perspective. As a result, nuanced discussions about the issues that matter are often lost in the favor of clickbait headlines and emotionally charged soundbites. Just look at the content on Discovery, National Geographic, or the History Channel. These are no longer channels and shows about being informative or explaining the world around us, but vain attempts to try and keep people engaged. The shift from communal storytelling to commercial media domination has fundamentally altered the way we engage with the world. Whilst modern technology has made information more accessible than ever before, it has also created a media ecosystem that thrives on fear and sensationalism. The constant exposure to negative news has a significant psychological toll, leaving many feeling anxious and helpless. Once again, as Gerbner suggested, those who control the stories ultimately govern human behavior, and today's commercial media often steers society towards fear and division. If we are to reclaim a sense of agency in our lives, we must be more discerning about the stories we consume, and this likely means taking a step back from the relentless flow of commercial media and seeking out alternative sources of knowledge, whether through books, thoughtful conversations, or even revisiting older forms of storytelling rooted in community and shared values. The responsibility of shaping our worldview should not be left entirely in the hands of corporate giants. It's time for individuals and communities to take back the narrative. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing for more content like this. Thank you for watching.